Am I the a-hole for strongly correcting a lie my parents told my sister? I'm 25 female, 7 years older than my sister, 18 female. When she was a baby, my parents came up with this story that I had asked them every day for a little sister until she was born. Now, I can't speak for 4 years old or younger me, but I know by the time I started kindy that I had no interest in having a sibling. I'd never ever ask for a sister. Lol. I had friends who hated their siblings, and that made me think I was lucky to be an only child. My parents pushed it so hard, and would tell me I should spend more time with my sister and take better care of her since I had wanted her so badly. My sister bought the whole thing, and if I pushed back on the lie, my parents would threaten to ground me. When I was 15 and she was 8, I told her that our parents were lying, and I had to ask for a sister every day, and my parents grounded me for a week. They told me I had broken my sister's heart and it was a mean-spirited thing to say. I told them it was their lie, not mine, and they said it brought my sister joy and that should be all that matters. My sister took that lie as meaning we should spend all our time together, and she hated when I didn't want to. It was especially horrible because she was clingy as hell, and she would have meltdowns when I didn't want to take her places. She practically wanted to move in with me when I left my parents' house. So a couple of weeks ago, my sister was asking to move in with me and I told her no. She said, "Come on, I had wanted her so badly and I should want to be around her more than I seem to. That it seemed crappy to want her so badly, and then discard her like she's not my sister." I told her to cool it with the exaggeration, and plenty of siblings live apart and don't spend every waking moment together. She told me most siblings don't ask specifically for a specific sibling like I did. And I told her I'd never ask. That mom and dad made that up when she was a baby and refused to let me say the truth. And when I did, when she was 8, they claimed I was lying and punished me for it. She told me it was a lie, and that she didn't get why I was such a dirty liar. I told her to listen to me clearly. I never asked for a sibling. I never begged them for a sister, and I didn't wish her into existence in that I hated the lie. She was crushed and ran to our parents, who again acted like I was a monster. She's lapping up the lies from them and told me she hopes I come to accept the truth someday. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Just cut them all off for about a year and see how much they can deny it then. Boom, solved. If you then resume low contact and she remotely brings up that you wanted a sibling again, do the same until it drives it into her skull by force. I guess I'm just an a-hole, but I always hated clingy cousins and I'm an only child. This would do my head in. Not an a-hole. I had the same thought. Why deal with this crap? If they still want to lie about it, they could do that alone. Just cut contact for a few months. If people want to behave like a-holes, they don't have to stick around. They can do that without you being present, and maybe then they think about it and come to the conclusion that they were being a-holes. Your sister is in denial, and because your word is painted as unreliable, this is shown by your sister immediately assuming you're a dirty liar. She's never gonna believe you over them, because your parents have always invalidated what you've said, making it seem to your sister that you're just a liar all the time. You need to give her some truth. Not an a-hole. What sort of parents would justify having another children with? My 4 years old wanted a sibling. Lol. Do you insert whatever you want here, because your 4 years old wants it? Doubt it. So why create another small human? Because the 4-year-old said so? Also, even if you have a great relationship with your siblings, it does not mean you are obliged to spend every single moment of your life with them. You and your sister are two different separate people. And I can't even say I did say it then. Just not 100% sure. Not an a-hole. Your parents are. And your sister has attachment issues. I mean, even if you would have said you wanted a little sibling when you were young, that was 20 years ago. That doesn't mean that you always wanted her to be by your side 24/7. Especially since you're not kids anymore. I think that's weird, and your sister needs to grow up. It sounds to me like your parents lied to her to give some of the responsibility in raising her to you, which is just wrong. Sister has attachment issues because her parents told her, for 18 years, that the main reason she exists is because her sibling wanted her to. They dodged responsibility like professionals. Can you imagine being told your entire life that the entire reason you exist is because your sibling wanted you to, then finding out that it was a lie? Sister is not an a-hole. The parents, however, are massive a-holes. Next story. Am I the a-hole if I lock my freezer full of ice cream when my sister and her teen kids come to visit? My house is sort of the place where most family meetups happen. I kept my parents' house and have lived there since then. I've noticed that my sister doesn't really have a good handle on her kids in terms of discipline. The past 2 times that they have come, they have eaten so many of my ice cream bars and they always make such a freaking mess. It's aggravating. I would be fine if they grabbed one from the freezer, but they grab like 5 each, eat them, then grab a few more for the road. I know my sister isn't the best with discipline, so I didn't want to bother with her. She wouldn't do much anyway. So I just got a lock for the freezer and locked it. And when they came earlier today, they complained to me that it was locked, and I just told them, I know. They complained to their mom, and then she came over and said that it was locked. I again said that I know. So she asked if the kids could get some ice cream. But I told her no and told her why. She then started saying things like me treating her family horribly, saying that it's just ice cream, and I'm a cheap prick for not sharing it. Things like that. She was very angry for a lot of time, and then she just left with her kids. Am I the a-hole for doing that? Not the a-hole. Do you think she understood that it wasn't about the price of the ice cream, but rather the kids' entitlement of just grabbing it from your freezer and making a mess? Because that's what it was about. Seems like she missed that. She was pretending that the reason was one that she could be justified in berating Opie about. By latching onto that, she can pretend to herself that it's totally not because her flock of seagulls are greedy, grabby, messy, and disciplined gobblers. Not the a-hole. She needs to parent her children and teach them manners. They should not be acting like pigs or making a mess. It's your ice cream and you can do whatever you want with it. I would have done the same thing, honestly. I do need to ask though, did you ever tell your sister that her children acted this way? I know you don't want to parent them, but that could have been a good thing to do if you didn't. I suggest if they come over again, maybe you can unlock the freezer and take out 1 bar for each of them to have, as long as they ask politely. My mom would have broken my fingers if I opened up a fridge or freezer when I was a guest in someone's home. Unless I was told go get a specific item from this location, I did not go into other people's property. Hosts put on what is on offer, and you get what you are given. You don't go and fridge dive for something better. And as for the kid's mother, she shouldn't need to be told what her kids are doing. She should see what her kids are up to because it's her responsibility to supervise them. The OP is not the a-hole. Her sister needs parenting classes. Not the a-hole. If her kids need ice cream, she can buy it and bring it. It's not like your kids are eating it in front of them and refusing to share. They've obviously come to see your freezer as free reign. Seriously, OP isn't a store. Next story is titled, Would I be the a-hole if I don't invite my brother-in-law and his wife to my birthday dinner? My husband and I are planning a dinner for my 30th birthday. I get along really well with most of his family. As a former foster kid, it means a lot that my in-laws are basically like my parents now and truly love and accept me. I also get along really well with my husband's sister. She has treated me like the sister she never got as a kid but always wanted. And she's been a great source of support for me through some stuff surrounding my birth mom that came back to haunt me a couple of years ago. The issue I have is with my husband's brother and his wife, and how they allow their kids to behave. It's an issue everyone has, but they have tolerated it for themselves because they love them and don't want to lose out on a son/daughter-in-law and grandkids or brother, sister-in-law and nieces. My husband even has problems with them because of the crap we go through with them. The problem is, they do not parent their girls, 7, 5, and 2, and expect everyone else to deal with the fact. The girls throw food, spit food, break stuff, and spoil others' food if they can't have a taste of it. And they will ask even if it's the same thing as what they have. They got us kicked out of restaurants before. Their parents will tell them to stop, will offer them bribes to stop, but when they still act that way, they will just let it happen. Right before lockdown hit, we were all at my in-laws for a family dinner, and the oldest, who was 5, threw a plate at the wall because she got chicken tenders instead of chicken nuggets. When my mother-in-law tried to step in, she picked up a bowl and smashed it into the table, screaming in her grandmother's face. My brother-in-law sat there like nothing had happened. He only removed her when his dad snapped, and said to be a man and step in. And not only that, but they will show up with kids to non-kid events, and let their kids act up. Each and every one of us has tried talking to them, has tried to intervene, but it goes nowhere. So when my husband's brother asked about my birthday, I said we weren't sure yet. But then my sister-in-law's husband slipped up and mentioned the dinner, and he came back and asked. So I said I wasn't sure I would invite them because of their kids' behavior. He's furious and told me I shouldn't exclude family and should have spoken to him first. Only I have before. Not about their birthday, but in general about these issues. The rest of my in-laws have my back, and sister-in-law's husband apologized for spilling the beans. I still feel bad despite the support because I could see his feelings were hurt, and I worry about hurting the girl's feelings being excluded when the rest of the family isn't. Would I be the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. 1. You tried talking to them. 2. Everyone else has tried talking to them, so it's clearly a pattern and not something you're exaggerating. 3. Those kids sound like nightmares. And as a parent, I know you just miss out on stuff sometimes because of your kids. My son was awful at 3 years old, and we basically didn't do anything for a full year. He grew out of it. 4. It is your birthday. Don't make concessions on your birthday for people that don't respect you. It's supposed to be about you, not them. Time for your brother-in-law and his wife to start seeing the consequences of being crappy parents. Life is full of consequences, and they better buckle in because they have a lot coming. About time. Not the a-hole. You would not be the a-hole. Jesus, their kids sound insufferable. What kind of adults will they grow into? The lack of discipline and good parenting is the main issue here. But your sister-in-law's husband somehow doesn't seem to realize that. He should be embarrassed of himself for not being able to have kids who can act normal. No wonder you don't want them at your birthday. My brother-in-law and his wife, you mean? Sister-in-law's husband is a good man. Just slipped up. But brother-in-law and his wife? Yeah, they don't seem to care all that much. Jesus. Getting kicked out of places were not enough of a hint for them? When I grew up, we had restaurant rules, which was basically other people are not here for your crappy behavior. But yeah, do not invite them. Action speaks louder than words, and they have shown how much effort they care to put into having a good relationship with their family. Time family told them the truth about why no one wants them around. If you really want to give them a chance, lay down the rules. Hard. In writing. No throwing, no screaming, no spitting, etc. And if they break the rules, they got to go. No second chances. Maybe lay those rules out for the next family event, not for this one. The time to begin this isn't at a public space for someone's birthday that has already made it clear they don't want this disruption. Maybe missing out on particular events is needed. It takes a family. And perhaps this family is the kid's only shot at learning about consequences and behavior. Next family event, maybe tell the parents, we expect you to parent and we expect them to behave in a reasonable manner. We love you all. We would like to enjoy your company without the mayhem. If they don't listen, tell them it's time to go. Keep this up until they figure it out or stop coming. I hope you're definitely not the a-hole. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for saying that a two-person household was not a family? My stepdaughter's mother's house is very different from a normal household. She's very much a bare minimum kind of person. The only truly important things are work/school and appointments. As long as you're on time for those and doing well, have good hygiene, and are keeping your bills paid, everything else is pretty much optional and usually not worthwhile to do. Their house is 3 bedrooms, but it's small. And unless they happen to have a guest, it's just her and her mother. My stepdaughter's mother has a maid service come in once a month to do a clean because she's too busy with a standard 9-to-5 job. Her standards are basically just pick up after yourself, laundry once a week, do the dishes as they come in, and sweep/vacuum if you think it needs it. In an actual family, these standards would lead to the house being an absolute dump. But because her house is all of 2 people, the house is perfectly fine. Our family is 11 people when my stepdaughter is here. My husband and I, our other 4 kids, my sister and her son, and my parents. So we run our household very differently. We have things like routines and chore lists. Aside from the past year, we have kids in sports. I'm sorry that we don't have a private bathroom for each person in the house, and that we have actual tasks that need to be done in the house every single day and can't just get done tomorrow. She has never adjusted well in transitions, and thinks we're strict for having actual standards. I'm sorry, but things just are not the same when it's 2 people versus a family of 10 to 11. It's not just do whatever like it can be with 2 people. After years of arguments, I finally snapped and told her that I'm sorry she has to spend so much time with an actual family. Now everyone is mad at me for not going along with the idea that a single woman with one part-time child is just as much a family as a large multi-generational family. I'm sorry, but it's just not, and I'm tired of being the bad guy about it. Now for the top comments. Wow, you're a massive a-hole. I'm a single woman with one child. Are we not a family? Were we a family before my son's dad died and now we're not? How does it work in your eyes? You're the a-hole. And to say that to someone's face, you're an even bigger a-hole. Jeez, I'm sorry for your loss. But seriously, is me and my boyfriend of almost 2.5 years living together with our dog and cat not family? Because I'm sorry, but if you ask me, my boyfriend, our dog, and our cat are my only family. So Opie, does that not qualify as family? Am I totally without a family because A, we aren't married, B, we have no kids? You're the a-hole. You just butchered the little girl's feelings. And no, I don't care if she's a teenager. You're the adult and she's the child. She is a little girl. Way to make her feel crappier about what semblance of family she has considering her dad married a wicked stepmother. You're the a-hole. You're dripping with malice and condescension. Have you tried minding her own business about her cleaning service and work hours, and maybe being a pleasant person? Precisely. Work hours don't mean she does nothing else. A commute, extracurriculars for their kid, voluntary work, hobbies, other family commitments. Also, if she doesn't like cleaning, then why not pay someone if you have money? Especially when it's clearly not squalor by her own admission. Basically, the step-kid doesn't want to clean up after the 11 people who made the mess? Way to alienate your partner's kid. You're the a-hole. You don't get to gatekeep what a family is. What a trashy thing to say to a child. And for the record, 11 people living in a house of undisclosed size, but there's not that many houses that can actually hold 11 people, is called overcrowding. You need to get out of your delusional headspace if you truly think your household is normal. It's definitely not. I will happily live in my 3-person household. Sounds a hell of a lot better than living with such a miserable, spiteful, judgmental person as you. It could explain Opie's attitude. I might be this grumpy too with a constant 11 people in my space. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband's affair baby's family to either come get the kid or I'm calling CPS? My female 53, soon-to-be ex-husband Roger, 47, whom I forgave for his affair, came home with a baby 4 months ago. His girlfriend, 22, could not handle it anymore and brought the baby to him at work and left. To the best of his knowledge, she is in Spain now. I allowed him to stay so long as I didn't have to do anything. Anything. Well, about a month ago, Roger had a heart attack. It didn't kill him, more's the pity, but he is very weak and incapable of doing anything for himself. Since he isn't up and about, he cannot care for his child. He also cannot drop off and pick up his son at daycare. I have been helping, but I'm done. My kids are full grown. I shouldn't be having grandkids anytime soon. I do not have any desire to care for a baby. I told Roger that I want a divorce, and I contacted the mother's parents. I know the father through friends. I said they had until Friday to come get their grandchild, or I was calling Child Protective Services. They just left with a baby, but they scolded me for being so cold towards a baby that had done me no harm. I view that child differently. Roger is recovering and I will be moving out. The house is in his name, but I have never contributed to it. I have the equivalent of 22 years of rent and interest put away. And as per our prenup, my savings are my own. I work, and I don't need anything out of this marriage except myself. My kids tried telling me to stay and help their father. I said that they were welcome to come over and help him with cleaning himself and the baby. Both declined what I felt was a fair offer. I do not feel that I'm acting badly. However, Roger, our children, his child's family, and a few mutual friends think I am. Perhaps writing this out and seeing the responses will give me clarity. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. The child was not your responsibility. Yes, it was innocent, but you're literally not responsible for raising it. You should have divorced Roger long ago. and God forbid something happens, I literally cannot make any decisions regarding medical care or anything. Not a-hole. If you're the only one dealing with this mess Roger created, nobody gets a say but you. Your kids don't want to help. Roger can't help. This child isn't your problem nor responsibility, unless you make the child your problem or responsibility. The child may be innocent, but you are too. You didn't ask Roger to cheat on you and get another woman pregnant. You didn't ask to take care of an affair baby. Good point. The baby is completely innocent, but so is OP, and she didn't mistreat the baby. She just refused to take care of it. Better to hand him off to his family than keep him there when you're indifferent to him. Not a-hole. Basically, everybody is trying to dump their responsibility on you. The baby should be with family. You're not cold to not want to care. It's weird they wouldn't want to take the kid in anyway. Poor child. Your grown kids can take care of their dad. When he cheated, your relationship ended, and he's not your problem anymore. The grown kids can also take their half-brother in. Also, they're the ones blood related to the baby, not her. Absolutely no obligation there either. If my dad cheated on my mom and was left with a baby, I'd cut ties too. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter I was not going to walk her down the aisle or attend her wedding after she went years of no contact with me? I, 45 male, divorced my ex-wife, 45 female, many years ago after she had an affair. She's now married to her affair partner. We also had a daughter who was very rebellious. She pretty much hated me and said her mom deserved much better than me. Yes, for a year, we did struggle financially because money was tight. When her mom got with her affair partner, my daughter, who was 14 at the time, said many horrible things, like how the affair was exactly what I deserved and a lot of stuff like it. Regardless, I understood my daughter was going through her teenage rebellious phase, so I just accepted those words. However, my daughter always said that she would prove she would succeed in life without me, and after graduating high school, she pretty much went no contact with me. I tried to contact her, but she blocked my number. It hurt me a lot. Well, I moved on, because there was nothing much else I could do. I moved states to where my sister lives, focused on my career, and I'm financially well off now. I am single by choice, and I'm enjoying my life so far. It's fun to hang out with friends. My family and I have a peace of mind now. A couple weeks ago, my daughter called me. It was the first time in years we had spoken, and I could sense she was nervous. I told her I was all right, and she broke down in tears. She apologized for everything, and we caught up on life. She told me she really wished she could make up how terribly she had behaved in her childhood, but I told her it was okay and everyone goes through a tough phase in childhood. She then told me that she was getting married next year and that it would mean the world to her if I could walk her down the aisle and be there at her wedding. However, where I was at in my life, I just didn't have the emotional bandwidth to add my daughter in my life again, after she went years of no contact with me. So I told her up front that I will always love her, but that I would not attend her wedding or walk her down the aisle. I told her she would always be welcome in my house, but that I have my own life now, and emotionally, it was hard for me to feel much for her. She broke down in tears again and apologized again how everything that happened, and I told her it was all right, and that there was no reason to apologize. We then spoke some more. Am I the a-hole? Not a-hole. If she's sincere, she'll keep reaching out. If it was for show or for money, she will leave you again. See where you're at in a year and attend if you feel she's sincere. Wonder where stepdad is in all this. Probably wanting someone else to pay for the wedding. Not a-hole. As the saying goes, trust takes years to build and seconds to destroy, or something along those lines. The fact that she wanted to reconcile is one thing. I don't think you're wrong for saying what you said. She might actually show true remorse, or something occurred that made her feel that way. Either way, you're not wrong for your feelings. In my native language, that saying goes as, trust comes by foot and leaves by horse. Keep talking to her. Whether or not you walk her down the aisle, you might still find a way back into each other's lives. Just keep those lines of communication open. Waiting until after the wedding would surely clarify exactly what the daughter wants, while insulating OP from further hurt. Years left to reconnect, so I hurry. Why put on a show after being treated so poorly? Waiting is far more pragmatic, and if there's ulterior motives like money, the truth will out sooner. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my boyfriend and his daughter out because of how his daughter acts when she's on her period? My boyfriend of 2 years has an 11-year-old daughter that just started her first ever menstrual cycle 3 days ago. He has full custody of her, and they started making transitions to move in with me and my 8-year-old son about 2 weeks ago. Up until this point, everything was going fairly well. The kids got along and I thought Diane was a nice kid. Anyways, she walks out of her bedroom 3 days ago and tells me she thinks she started her period and was asking me the general questions on how to wear a pad, what she can/can't do, etc. All is well. I let her stay home from school after calling my boyfriend at work to confirm plans and give him the rundown. She was crampy. I work from home, so it was no issue. All day she interrupted my business calls to talk about her period. It was annoying, but I just dealt with it because it's her first menstrual, so obviously there's going to be a lot of questions. This wasn't even a problem, it was what followed it. She was in a great mood all day, but as soon as my boyfriend and my son got home from work, my home turned into a war zone. My son asked if she wanted to play with him and just screamed in his face, "I'm on my period," and literally slammed him out of her doorway. He went flying, hit the wall, bruised his shoulder and hit his head off the door frame. My boyfriend went to talk to her and she starts crying. "I'm on my period. I don't want him near me." He gave her a pass for her behavior, which already ticked me off. The next day we planned a beach day, like a week ago planned it. Diane starts flipping out to a point of full tantrum, screaming at me and my boyfriend, telling us that no, we would not still be going to the beach because she's on her period and she can't swim, and since she can't, none of us can. And she doesn't care if that bothers us. My boyfriend cancels the trip. Or tried. I told him I was still bringing my kid regardless. We get back home at 3 p.m. When I left, I had a pot of chili in the slow cooker for dinner. I find half the pot gone. Diane had been eating out of the slow cooker. My boyfriend told me that Diane said the only thing she wanted was chili, and that since she was on her period, he had to let her. He listened to her. There wasn't enough to feed everyone now. We sent the kids to bed at 8 p.m. She comes out at 9, telling her father that she needed ice cream or she was going to snap. He originally said no. She starts tweaking out, crying, screaming, wakes up my son. He ends up going and getting her the freaking ice cream instead of being a parent and nipping that nonsense in the bud. Then this morning, my boyfriend tells her she can stay home from school again because she's still on her period. I tell him no. I'm working today and she interrupted me all day on my last work day. She starts flipping out, screaming at me that I'm not doing anything to make her comfortable when that's what she needs right now. My boyfriend sides with her. It's her first period. We need to learn to navigate it. I told him again that she was not staying here today. He gets angry with me and says I'm making his life harder than it has to be. His kid is still screaming at me. So I snapped and told them to pack all their stuff and leave, and that I was freaking done. Said that I'm glad she started her period so soon into moving in so that I could get a proper assessment of how it would be full-time. And I would be damned if I put up with this nonsense every month. They both immediately calm down. She starts crying, saying she was just trying to make me understand. He's telling me I'm being ridiculous. I stood firm, however, and told them to get out. They're now gone and my house is peaceful. I don't want them back here. My boyfriend has been blowing my phone up since, telling me this is just a bump in the road. But I have never been so disgusted by anyone in my entire life. Am I the a-hole for not letting them return and telling him I'm done? I did speak to her about her aggression yesterday. I told her it wasn't okay to put her hands on people, to scream in my face, to demand we cater to her and break things. She says, I'm on my period. Nothing I do right now can be held against me because I have no control. Which is enough to prove to me that she does have control. She's using this as an excuse. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. I think this is not just her period, but signs of a much bigger problem, where she's manipulative AF and your boyfriend always gives in to her when she acts badly instead of being a parent and putting a stop to the behavior. And he is also showing you that he will always take her side over you no matter how bad her behavior is. She's also going to bully your son. He deserves to have a peaceful and safe home and not to have to live with a bully. Living with them will be hell if you let them stay. You have the opportunity in this moment to dodge the bullet. Not the a-hole, and I agree. This behavior seems wholesale manipulative. Hormonal or not, physically body checking your son and then claiming you can't hold me accountable because of a bodily function is not okay and needs to be stamped out yesterday. Also note that when she realized you were serious about consequences, she immediately realized she'd gone too far and tried to backtrack while blaming you with, "I'm just trying to make you understand." Out of curiosity, where could she have seen this type of behavior? Because honestly, this sounds like she saw it in some movie or whatever and is exaggerating hard. Not a-hole for needing space, but please get your boyfriend to figure out if she's actually nuts, or just acts like this because she thinks that's how girls on their period should act. Literally anywhere, none of her friends have started, but her dad gives her a free range of YouTube and TikTok. She's not allowed to post anything, but she can view whatever she wants. I've tried talking to him about that. I don't think kids should be in social media, but he was never receptive. Free range of YouTube and TikTok. Well, problem identified. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife I would rather have her sister live in our house than her? I, 35 male, and my wife, 35 female, have been married for 6 years. Some background. 7 months ago, my wife gave birth to our daughter. I'll call her Sadie. Ever since my wife gave birth, she has been getting increasingly rude and refuses to do any work around the house and says she's still healing from giving birth, even though she always goes out with her friends. 3 months ago, my wife's sister Hannah, 25 female, called my wife and asked her if she could temporarily move in with us. She lived in a crappy apartment building, and tenants recently had to leave due to the unsafe conditions. Hannah didn't have enough to get another place right away, hence her asking. My wife seemed very eager to let Hannah move in, despite always claiming they never get along. They came to the agreement that she would help with Sadie in exchange for staying with us rent-free so she could save up for a deposit on a proper apartment. Everything was fine at first. Hannah has ADHD and took a week to adjust to living with us. During that week, she did all the chores my wife has been neglecting without us asking her. I tried to tell her she didn't have to do all of them, but my wife waved me off and said Hannah's ADHD makes her want to do it. Hannah backed her up. After she cleaned something, my wife would thank Hannah a lot. I thanked her as well, but my wife did it constantly, which seemed strange to me. My wife dismissed my questions and said it was normal to do with people with ADHD. Since then, my wife has pushed all childcare and any household chores I don't do onto Hannah. She has also been increasingly rude to Hannah and yelling at her if she makes a mistake on the first try of doing something. I tried to intervene when I was at home, but my wife would accuse me of wanting to let Hannah lay around the house being lazy because she was retarded. She and I got into a huge fight about her using that word to describe Hannah and didn't speak for a few days. My breaking point came when I found out my wife had been making Hannah pay her rent and buy baby supplies. I pay all the bills, and the money Hannah had been giving my wife was not going towards the house. My wife was using it to go out with her friends. My wife also made Hannah pay for food. I usually give my wife the money for food, and she bought snacks for herself with Hannah's contribution. I had another fight with my wife, where she said Hannah was lazy, and if she didn't like her rules, then Hannah could sleep on the street and get out of her house. That's when I told my wife it's my house, as she doesn't pay any bills, and at this point doesn't do anything but be as lazy as she accuses Hannah of being. And I would rather live with Hannah. My wife got quiet and has been refusing to talk to me or Hannah for the past few days, and I'm starting to think I crossed a line. Am I the a-hole? Added to add, I have no romantic/sexual feelings for Hannah. Even if I did, Hannah's lesbian. And even if she weren't, I would not have taken advantage of her by making a move on her while she's dependent on me for housing. Please stop with a comment suggesting I marry Hannah. Added to, she was cleared for PPD a few months ago, but due to comments, I will discuss having her screened again. While that was not a nice thing to say, your wife is a horrible person. So horrible that it makes me question whether this is fake. I wish it were. I feel bad for what I said, as it was said in the heat of the moment, but I don't like how she's been treating her sister. It's a huge turnaround from how things were initially, and I don't know why. Your wife is a horrible bully and user. Abusing her sister for money and labor. If you don't do anything about it, you're condoning it. Be a responsible person. Do you understand what a huge red flag it is that your wife lied to you and Hannah when she took Hannah's money and kept it for herself? Like huge. No wonder they never got along. That's because your wife is a twat. Apparently, she is totally comfortable lying to your face and Hannah's. And she has no problem pretending not to be married. You should grant her that wish. Lying about money is one of the #1 reasons people separate. Not a-hole. Your wife is stealing from you and Hannah. It shows a dishonest character, and people don't tend to be dishonest in only one aspect of their life. I feel like if you start poking around, you're going to find out a lot of surprises about your wife. Yep, she is definitely dishonest. Plus, to add to what you stated, 7 months later and she's still healing and unable to do household chores? What a crock. Unless there were some major surgery related to the birth, which I am sure Opie would have mentioned if there was, then there is no reason why she can't do tasks around the house 7 months later. She is lazy and a liar. Update. My 26 female best friend, 23 female, might be in love with my husband, 26 male. Where do I go from here? Original post. My husband and I have been together since we were young teenagers. We got married last year and have a 6-month-old daughter together. She is the light of both our lives, as we both came from broken homes and want a better life than we lived growing up. My best friend came a few years later. We used to live in the same neighborhood and casually began to hang out. She lives with both her parents and siblings as she is studying to get her bachelor's degree. At first, she didn't like my husband. Said that he was clingy and tried to insert himself into our friendship. She was civil to him though because he was my romantic partner. For context, my husband is bipolar type 2, autistic, and has PTSD, and it causes him to be a little socially awkward and miss certain social cues and taboos. I love him regardless of it all. Over the last few years, we have been hanging out a lot more. She comes over for a few drinks, we go to movies, and even visit local attractions together. We all three have a good time, and my husband does try to make nights for just the two of us often too. However, last year, my husband and I found out we were expecting a child together in January. I was working and fell ill because at the time I was working at a fast food place. I threw up and went to the doctor. Come to find out, I was 8.5 weeks pregnant. My life changed, and I had become busier to get myself ready for motherhood. My best friend saw me less and less, and we couldn't talk as much. My husband and I got married almost a month and a half after discovering we were going to become parents. That's when our dynamic changed. Recently, I applied to school and I'm currently in college trying to get a law degree so I can become a paralegal and get to law school. I'm also a stay-at-home mom while doing college too. I've been super busy. One day, my husband gets a text and it's from my best friend. She asks if they can talk as she was upset. He took the phone call with me protesting and a few minutes later said, "Sandra, we need to go get Carla. Her father is picking a fight with her." I get upset as we were watching a movie together and I had just gotten the baby down for bed. But we go to her house, which is about 20 minutes away, and she stays with us for a night. As I get our daughter back down to bed, Carla asks to cuddle with the two of us in our bed. I was hesitant. I have issues with claustrophobia due to a traumatic experience as a child. My husband gave the go-ahead. We settle in for the night. Carla's dad apologized and she heads back home. Once she was gone, I blew up on my husband. What he did was not only inappropriate, but was disrespectful to my boundaries. Ever since, when she has an issue with her dad, she calls my husband and vents. One day, while my in-laws were staying with us, my mother-in-law overheard a convo with my hubby and Carla. She was concerned and asked me if I was okay with it. I said, no, not really, but every time I bring it up, he gets defensive, saying that she needs help, that she's going through a hard time, blah blah blah. It is important to note that my mother-in-law was cheated on in the past by her ex, my husband's father. We are also extremely close, and she sees me as a daughter. She hates cheaters with a passion. And my husband, who I will refer to as James, was using the same excuses his father did. She asked to speak to him privately and walked to our living room. They got into a heated match, and James apologized to me. He said he didn't know that it was hurting me and causing issues in our marriage. I asked him, how would he feel if I'd ask him if another man could sleep in the bed with us? He kind of deflated and tried to say, it's different, blah blah blah. His stepfather, Mark, spoke up and said, it's the same. You're uncomfortable with it. So is she. Quit with excuses. James respects Mark quite a lot actually. Mark raised him since he was 8 and his own father was in and out of the picture. Once the dust settles, my husband truly apologized to me for his actions and said that he would do better. I kissed him and that was that. However, I wouldn't be here if that was the end of the issues. Lately, Carla has been calling him 3 to 8 times a day. She says it's because she's bored and has no one to talk to. I snap. I call him out over the nonchalance about the situation. How when she calls, he answers. How it is making me feel like a third wheel in my marriage, etc. His response, she's just lonely. You're letting it get to you. That night, I slept in the living room. I'm starting to suspect that she is trying to monopolize his time. She calls him for over an hour each time. He calls, they talk, she complains about her life, etc. Almost like she's his girlfriend or something. I'm starting to find this relationship troubling. It is getting to the point that it is affecting my marriage. Where do I go from here? Any advice would be appreciated. Now for the top advice before reading the update. You've set your boundaries and he continues to cross them. Is this how you want your marriage to be? She won't stop as long as your husband responds to her every time. You're right, I have issues standing up for myself. You are standing up for yourself. Your husband is not respecting you. You need to be open with your husband and tell him that his behavior is leading to the end of this relationship. If it tries the she's lonely and you're just jealous, you answer that she's lonely because she preferred to seek the attention of her best friend's husband. And you are jealous because he's given more importance to another woman's comfort over yours, his wife and mother of his child. Him being autistic is not an excuse here. He has difficulty with social clues, not with knowing what is right or wrong. It's not unknown to a person in a committed relationship to develop a crush on someone. What they do about that crush is what matters. Your husband, instead of cutting her off his life and putting effort into the marriage, is letting his feelings for her grow and become an emotional affair. So I'm with you on her probably having feelings for him. But let's be honest here, your husband is at the very least having an emotional affair with that woman. Bipolar, autism, PTSD, don't excuse the fact that he was cool with another woman sleeping in your marital bed. This was weird as heck, and I still don't understand how you just didn't say no. Your husband is choosing to answer her phone calls. He's the one affecting your marriage with his awful behavior. Your mother-in-law saw it. Her husband saw it. Anybody with some sense can see it. I think he can see it and that he likes the attention he's getting from her, and he likes that you're jealous, which you are not being, of his new friendship. If I were you, I'd sit down with him and I'd be clear about how inappropriate him answering her 3 to 8 calls a day when he has a wife and a child. That they can be friends, but that she's taking way too much space into our lives. That if he does not limit his interactions with her and keeps making her a priority, you will be moving out with your kid. That you want couples counseling, and that if he does not agree, then he can find himself a divorce attorney. Again, she's an issue, but she's not your issue. Your husband is. Edit. Thanks everyone for the feedback. I'm going to have a talk with him, with his mom involved. He won't listen to me if I don't. I'm tired of fighting him over this. I should have an update with a resolution in a couple days. I'm going to read everyone's responses more thoroughly. Thanks for the advice. Edit number 2. My husband and I had a sit-down talk. His mother and stepfather weren't available. He promised me that he would explain everything in detail. I called Carla and she said that we could talk Friday when she wasn't busy with school. She had something she needed to air out. I will have an update on Friday, hopefully. Edit number 3. I woke up to a text from Carla this morning. She actually wants to talk to me tonight, alone as her schedule has changed. We are going to have a heart-to-heart. Hopefully I will have some news. Now for the full update. This update is hard. Everything about the situation sucks, and I don't know if I will be okay for some time. Baby and I are currently staying with my friend Tanya. To start, James and I are getting a divorce. Carla is no longer a friend to me or our mutuals. The betrayal is too deep for her to be friends with our group. As most of you assumed, James and Carla are indeed having an affair. It started about 3 months ago and just turned physical 1 month ago. They were planning on just up and leave after James served me divorce papers. They used a ruse that he was helping her through emotional issues to hide a fact. I was crushed. She wanted to clear the air before it got worse. That was when she dropped a huge bombshell. James was going to try and get me to terminate my rights to my child in order for Carla to adopt her. The reason? My borderline diagnosis a few years ago made me unfit to be a mother, and he was sure that the courts would agree. She then handed me 2 separate stacks of paperwork and left. I'm contacting a lawyer as I am writing this. I was seriously hurt. You guys were right. Carla was a snake, and only told me this so she wouldn't feel guilty. However, I am not letting my soon-to-be ex-husband bully me into termination of my rights. I called him afterwards and got very heated about what was going on. James just sat there in silence. I was crying afterwards. I pleaded with him to tell me what I did wrong. For a little bit of backstory, I had a near-fatal complication with my delivery of our daughter where I bled my entire labor. I had to have 2 blood transfusions and haven't fully recovered from it. I was not cleared for any strenuous activity for 3 months, including sexual activity. James was getting unsatisfied with all of my doctor's appointments and not getting the action he wanted. I was hurting and ended up needing another procedure to remove some placenta that didn't naturally come out. I had to have my tubes tied because if I have another child, it will kill me next time. James wanted at least 2 more kids, and this put an end to his plans. I married a monster. We were together since we were 15, and this is how he repays me? I thought I knew him. He was acting so caring and nice to me. I am absolutely heartbroken. I'm not even sure if I'm going to update this anymore, but if I do, it'll be after the divorce settles. Thanks for all your concern. I'm going to step back and take some time to adjust. There is no chance for a healthy co-parenting situation. I'm fighting for primary custody with supervised visits. Carla will not have any access to baby, as I will ask the judge to make a clause preventing her from interacting with my daughter. Thanks for all the advice. I contacted his mother and Mark this morning. They are furious that James is doing this to me. They are helping me foot the cost of a lawyer because I'm a stay-at-home mom and college student. They have kicked James out and is now staying at our old house with Carla. He did give me the courtesy to get my stuff and didn't put up a fuss about me taking what I wanted. He told me that he will keep in contact for divorce proceedings. Why did you leave? He's the a-hole. He's the one that gets to leave. It's his house. Inheritance. He only let me stay as a courtesy. We have only been married for a year. The house was his before marriage. Even still, inheritance laws where I'm from are a thing. So even if he got it while married, it's still his. His parents didn't know the full story, but now that they do, he overstayed his welcome. They are so angry. I'm not sure if his relationship with his mom or stepdad are salvageable. I'm so sorry. I hope for the best and brightest future ahead of you, as well as an excellent lawyer. May your soon-to-be ex and his dream snake be dumb enough to answer the door when karma comes knocking. A joke of a man. They deserve each other and will be punished accordingly. Karma doesn't miss in this kind of circumstance. Now Carla will deal with that monster. Lol, she thinks she won. Someone said this on a reality love TV show. You didn't take my man, you took away my problems. Last story. 27 female accused of baby trapping my 28 female fiancé when my tubes were tied. I had an argument with my fiancé this morning. We've been dating for 2 years, engaged since September, and for the most part, everything has been going well. We've been planning a quiet backyard ceremony so that we can save up for a house instead. We've been communicative and managed to get through fights in the past, but this takes the cake. He's been evasive for the past 2 weeks about the wedding or any future plans we've made, and I basically had to corner him this morning before leaving for work to ask him what was going on. Turns out, while he was dog-sitting for his uncle early in February, they had a chat that stuck with him. When they were talking about life and how things have been, his uncle admitted he resented his ex-wife for baby-trapping him. And now he's divorced while his ex-wife is dating again. And my fiancé's cousin is an entitled AITA who terrorized him when they were both teenagers. Turns out it's been sitting in his mind. He says that he thinks I'm about to spring a pregnancy announcement on him and trap him in the marriage. This is despite the fact that he knows that I don't want kids. I basically raised my siblings and lost out in my childhood. I told him about not wanting kids when we first started dating. We were both on the same page, and I've even asked him about getting a vasectomy in the past. Which is why it's surprising that he thinks that I'm trying to baby trap him. Thing is, the first chance I got, which still took a long time, I got my tubes tied. I literally can't get pregnant. I reminded him of this fact, and that made him go really quiet. He didn't even apologize or say anything, so I told him that if he's going to be like this over a made-up issue in his head, I don't know how much I'd trust him in a real crisis. Now I'm wondering if I was too harsh, and what steps can we take to move forward? Or if I'm the right amount of angry and I should just end it. I have no idea what to do right now.
Now for the top advice. He says that he thinks I'm about to spring a pregnancy announcement on him and trap him in the marriage. I'm confused. You stated that this man intends on marrying you, right? You're engaged? Baby trapping is when someone intentionally gets pregnant using methods like deception to keep their partner from leaving the relationship. Does he actually intend on marrying you? I literally can't get pregnant. I reminded him of this fact, and that made him go really quiet. He didn't even apologize or say anything. I would demand a response from him. His words and behavior are a red flag. I would postpone the wedding until the relationship is in a better place. Maybe this needs to be addressed with a counselor. The only reason I didn't drag a response from him is that I would have been late for work and I have a meeting I couldn't miss. But if he doesn't have a response when I get home, I'm definitely going to call off the wedding, if not the relationship. And do not lie to cover up for him. When people ask, tell them, you were just about to get married, and he talked to his uncle that convinced him you were going to baby trap him. Despite him knowing you've gotten a tubal ligation and despite the fact that he was already marrying you. His behavior threw up too many red flags, and you no longer feel comfortable marrying him. His uncle sounds like a real winner. Why is he afraid of getting trapped into marriage when he's literally planning a wedding with you? Like, huh? Marriage also isn't a trap. Anyone can leave at any time, regardless of whether there's kids. And the fact that he forgot your tubes were tied. Is he dumb? You sound the right amount of angry to me. Personally, I'd be hesitant to marry someone who was so easily swayed by his unreasonable uncle that you're somehow trying to trick him into a life of misery. On top of that, he's been dwelling on this for 2 weeks and never once communicated what was going on with him. He just completely checked out until you forced it out of him. I'm not sure I'd want to marry anyone who A, thinks marriage is a trap for men, and B, let his uncle convince him you're just like his ex-wife in one conversation. C, can't communicate or apologize. D, surrounds himself with such crappy male role models. And E, doesn't understand how tied tubes work. I think this is exactly my problem. I don't know if it thinks I deliberately ruined my life to just mess it up, or I've been lying since I met him. I don't want to make a knee-jerk decision, but I'm seriously reconsidering this relationship. I'd be reconsidering the relationship as well. Are you really sure that you want to be with this man when he, despite you having your tubes tied, questions your intentions at this level? I mean, he knows. So why is this a problem now? I don't think your fiancé wants to get married. It's not just a conversation with the uncle. For whatever reason, he's feeling trapped and uses this as an excuse. You need to have a serious talk with him and be open and curious so you get some genuine answers. You are absolutely the right level of angry. I would be feeling extremely distressed, hurt, and confused. Your fiancé didn't communicate there was an issue, and he is disrespecting you. I would really reconsider whether I wanted to marry someone who has this mindset. Hence the conversation so you can get the root cause. Take care.